If you're having trouble answering this very question, rest assured you're not alone. Should you buy the more sporty new Tesla Model 3 or the super practical brand new Tesla Model Y? And that's what I'll be helping you answer today. Thankfully for you, I get this question all the time, especially those who are interested in buying a new car and those that have expressed even the slightest of interest in a new Tesla EV. And well, you can guess if you mention the T word to me in person, well, I'd probably give you an earful about it, as well as the full lowdown between each of them. But here on YouTube, that kind of interaction isn't really what's needed to get to the nitty-gritty of it all. And I've been covering Tesla Model 3s and Model Ys for almost 5 full years now. Therefore, I know you folks just want me to get straight into the biggest driving factors between each model, ultimately which model is better for who and for what reason. That's what I'll help you answer today, or at the very least steer you in the right direction. So if you're looking for that visual guidance, this video is my unique take on the differences between each model, together with the drawbacks and the pros of each, all within a waffle-less 10-minute-ish summary. If that sounds good, then keep watching and let's get straight into it. First up, candidate number 1, the Tesla Model Y. And maybe to your surprise, this was the world's best-selling car. Not EV, literally the whole car market. And that wasn't by some strange coincidence. Beyond the purchase price and the freaky finance deals that you'll obtain today, against the Model 3, at least pointing out the obvious and the undebatable wins the Model Y has to offer that you can get from this newly redesigned Tesla Model Y, that simply offers far more cabin room for rear passengers as well as the front row. And what's not often discussed is the driver position is at a much more comfortable upright position, so that also offers a much more superior outlook when it comes to just general visibility. So as an SUV, it offers a much more spacious interior for passengers, a hatchback boot that enables an extra wider entry point for hauling, and an extra bigger front, and more. The Model Y front is the same size as mine, and I managed to get 2 kid booster seats in my front just to give you a benchmark of how this gives you greater storage practicality and just plain flexibility. Therefore, if it's not obvious from my first point, one of the biggest attributes is simply size matters over the Model 3, and it's mostly why SUVs in general do seem to be the consumer vehicle type of choice for families on the roads these days. Having driven both, the Model Y is effectively just an extra big Model 3, and so the biggest advantage gained by that is utility and practicality. Does that have a big effect on range? Strangely, I thought the difference would be fairly big, considering the visual footprint is pretty big. But the Model Y does hold up to the Model 3 pretty well. It's incredibly efficient for its size for sure. Thanks to some next-gen engineering, the difference is about 12 miles WLTP between the rear-wheel drive trims, and so that's barely anything, but the gap is a bit bigger on the long-range rear-wheel drive trims, being around 50 miles difference. Something to bear in mind, but more on the specs a bit later. Therefore, in a nutshell, as you probably suspected, the biggest advantage that you will find with this Tesla Model Y is that the Model 3 just can't compete on size from storage and passenger space. And that's why for family usage, the consumer does tend to pick the Model Y over the Model 3. But going big isn't all good, or so she says. This actually does concede some ground to the Model 3 and adds a USP advantage in different areas for the Model 3, for which may ultimately favour your circumstances over the extra space gains, as that additional space isn't always a priority for everyone. Moving over to the incredibly appetizing and easy on the eyes Tesla Model 3. So with the exterior design, this is super sleek and slippery when it comes to aero efficiency, and that does help drive up range and produce quicker acceleration speeds. Despite it being refreshed just over a year ago, it doesn't have that light bar design that has become a somewhat trademark of Tesla designers of recent, following the Cybertruck, the Cybercab, and now the new Tesla Model Y. But frankly, does it need it? The Model 3, it looks great in every colour offered, particularly in ultra red and quicksilver if I say so. But when it comes to value for money, the Model 3 really has near identical performance when it comes to the interior offering in functionality and comfort. This includes that rear facing passenger screen for rear passengers to control their climate usage, heated seats, and for watching video streaming apps like YouTube or Netflix on the go. The front seats also come with the same heated and ventilated cooling technology. The interior ambient lighting actually extends further across the door than the new Model Y, and it has the same sound insulating glass technology to help reduce cabin noise, well, within the cabin of course. Therefore, a vast majority of the goodness that you will find in the new Model Y, you will actually find it in the Model 3. Is there actually any compromises that you should know about? Absolutely. The Model 3 will rely on a cabin filter only when it comes to the air quality within the cabin, whereas the Model Y has the benefit of having a mighty HEPA filter, which really is an upgrade when it comes to the interior air quality, especially if you have allergies within the family. The rear seats, they won't be powered like the Model Y, and that's not a massive deal breaker for the masses. And the only other big interior feature that you'll personally touch that will be a different experience is the lack of indicator stalks. Indicating is selected actually by the steering wheel, and for some people this is a nothing burger. However, if you really aren't going to give it a chance, then the Model Y may be more suited with its traditional stalk, as it's included as standard. Shifting focus back to the Model 3's biggest benefit, and I mentioned just a moment ago that the single biggest benefit of the Model Y was all this extra space. So at what expense did that come at, and why I think this actually adds to the Model 3's biggest benefit over the Model Y? The Model 3 is lower down to the ground, so I feel it does offer a more sportier drive than the Model Y. It's hella fun to drive basically. Particularly whilst cornering, this difference will be felt more than ever, as that's just down to the ergonomic design of the vehicles. It's not just the sportier feel, it's also got the same new and improved suspension setup, and that aims to reduce the frequencies of the lumps and bumps in the road. Therefore, the Model 3 is offering pretty much the same interior features, the same/similar capabilities when it comes to cabin noise and suspension, but it's a sportier drive and it offers a reasonable amount of space for its size, but not quite as spacious as the Model Y. So, is that actually going to be a problem for you? Revisiting the theme of the Model Y's advantages over the Model 3, there are a number of small spec differences why you just may elect for the Model Y over the Model 3 too. Audio may actually make or break a sale for some, but did you know that the new Model Y long-range rear-wheel drive now comes with premium audio as standard for US customers only? Sorry fellow Brits and Europeans, it did used to actually be the opposite way around for us before, so whilst I'd love to complain about that, even my legacy Model Y rear-wheel drive does have premium sound, so we really did have it good before. But now it's America's time to get that advantage, I guess. The Model 3's rear-wheel drive and long-range rear-wheel drive will come with Tesla's immersive audio only, and this means that you are sacrificing subwoofers and extra speakers and an amplifier as a result. Another awesome little perk that is really underrated and could tip you towards the Model Y is the cockpit air quality, and I did mention it before, but I really can't mention it enough. And I know it's not going to be a massive sell point that does drive a lot of sales, but it really is a big differential and an exclusive point that does just make it different between each model. The other is that indicator stalk, that old trusty stalk, you know, it's like it never left the Model Y. Whereas the Model 3, that might take some getting used to. Moving on to FSD hardware, they are exactly the same at present, but the Model Y does have that extra bumper camera on, well, the front bumper. But how much of an advantage that does provide over the Model 3, that's actually yet to be determined. Moving on to price, there's something you must know that may not be immediately obvious unless you're pretty much in the know. So today, it is fair to say that both vehicles are competitively priced and even cheaper on occasion against a decently spec'd petrol SUV or sedans from, say, BMW, VW Group, Toyota and more. But if you're a US resident, there's something that you do need to know before it's gone, and it's widely expected to disappear at some point, and that is taking advantage of any federal credit before it's stripped, plus any state incentives on top. Not just the US, but anywhere really that still has incentives in play. Closer to home, for me, that's the UK. Us lucky Brits, we have the benefits of killer lease deals of £449 per month or 2.9% APR for personal customers of the Tesla Model Y. And if you do take advantage of a Tesla referral with your Tesla Model 3 or Y purchase, you could get yourself some free Tesla referral credit to use on free supercharger mileage, should you wish. And I'll put my link in the video description, should you need one. In terms of the Model 3, the actual production supplies have ramped up over the months, and so we now have some pretty killer lease deals, to say the least, starting from £299 per month for a rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 and PCP rates of 2.9% too. both just as attractive of each other, but it does allow you to actually make a decision weighted more on the car than just exclusively on price alone. But the Model 3 does actually still have that upper hand when it does come to pricing alone, particularly on a cash price. So to conclude, the new Tesla Model 3 will feel like a lower and slightly smaller Tesla Model Y, but it's going to be way more sportier to drive. That said, the Tesla Model Y, despite its larger size, its range and efficiency is lower, but it is kind of similar to the Model 3. It's just way more practical over the Model 3 at least. This ultimately does make it attractive to families and even pet owners who just demand that extra space without sacrificing too much range and too much performance. Whilst these vehicles do hold their advantages and disadvantages over each other, it's also important to note that that doesn't necessarily mean that the Model Y isn't sporty and the Model 3 isn't good for families. Both statements are false on the face of it, but yes, they do hold natural design advantages that the other model does fall short on. But equally, that may or may not be your priority, or for what it does offer, maybe that's just going to be enough for your circumstances. And that is what I hope that I did highlight today, that there isn't just one answer to fit all, but there are distinct advantages for which I did highlight via this video. And if you're now wondering which Model Y or Model 3 trim you should buy, do take a look at the trim comparisons on the corner of the screen now. I did a video on it before. If you're still undecided, the best way to test your buying decision is to book a Tesla drive through the Tesla website. So how was today's video? Did this quick summary help you pick a Tesla Model 3 or Tesla Model Y today? And if so, what sealed the deal for you and why? Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, do share it with your friends or anyone that may find the video beneficial. Don't forget to also check out the links in the video description too. There's some cheeky Tesla accessory discounts for you if you do find it. You folks have been great, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.